me
my
do
government
this one more
name.
time. Like, let me do this one more time. So good night. My name is Chizedek. I'm a third year medical student. Yeah, that is your cue.
I didn't know you were done. Lord,
All right. So one more time. So hi, I'm Chizedek. I'm a third year medical student at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. That's me.
Hi, I'm Amo. I'm a student at the University of West Indies St. Augustine campus, and I'm also a med student.
Good night, everyone. I go by Stoff. I'm a crim major at the University of the West Indies, and that's about it.
And just in time, the last man reach.
Hey guys, my name is Weshi. I am an actuarial science major at the University of the West Indies, and I'm very interested in social topics and philosophy as well.
You really go
No,
We can take that. We can take it. We can take it.
government.
What's that?
No, that one take win.
Oh,
Enter.
I find I getting clung as I touch on
There was no studying how we didn't want to give the government names now you come through and it was government name time. Full name and resume right there.
Other.
Yeah, but that's cool. So that's my boy Weshi, Stoff, Amo, and myself, Caution, aka Chizedek. So tonight, we laughing and everything, but we actually want to have like a serious discussion tonight about something that affecting a lot of young people and a lot of people in general. And that is the topic of police brutality. And if anybody else have anything they want to add on to it or say anything.
Well,
Weshi, I mean, like,
I think we
Yeah,
are.
well, I hear Amo touchdown, so the Amo, good you.
Well, I was gonna say that we're gonna have to talk about colorism and classism, but that will eventually come up because all of that has to play a part in police brutality.
that's true. But I think like a lot of the issues that we face today, like always more interconnected that we want to appreciate. Because almost everything that you could see going wrong, you could either boil it down to either it being colorism, classism, poverty, sexism, like everything's so interconnected, and we don't take the time to like appreciate and watch what's going on around us. Like that's just my personal view. So I think like even if we start here, like we definitely will touch on those topics.
Yeah, now for sure. I think it'll be a very empty conversation if you're talking about police brutality and you don't talk about colorism, classism, and just the way that police just regular discrimination on a whole. Those you can't really have a full comprehensive conversation without touching on those things. We definitely have to get into that tonight.
Yeah. So what I really bringing us here tonight really is on today's Friday. So on Tuesday, over the weekend, over last weekend, a matter of fact, there was the killing of one police officer in Trinidad and Tobago, and that caused a retaliation killing of 3 other young men in Mova in Trinidad and Tobago by the police officers in a raid in which they reported that they were shot up on first, but video footage that came out after the fact showed that one of the suspects in question came out with their hands up, and the police still shot him and killed him. And the people protested, and after the people protested, we saw retaliated again with force, what a lot of people consider to be excessive force in the usage of what may or may not be rubber bullets and or live ammunition. To the point where one other woman, a pregnant woman, was killed, and we saw a lot of hatred and vitriol of the internet after that. That's kind of where we want to start our conversation around and see where we can go from there. If I forgot anything, like anybody else, let me know.
Now, I think
No, I think you were spot on.
if I could, yeah, Christoph.
Yeah, I was just saying. I think that you were spot on in the description of the events, as far as we know, in terms of facts and what came out from the media and the video that we saw and all of that.
Yeah.
I think aside from the facts to be, we saw a lot of views coming out of the internet, a lot of delusions, what I say, of how people really view, how Trinidad and the whole views people from these communities, It was interesting to say the least.
It was surprising and shocking, in my opinion.
It was frightening, to be fair. It was very frightening. Like, all right, being from a different Caribbean island apart from Trinidad and having traveled to Trinidad, a lot of the time, like, we were told, be careful of certain types of people or be careful of these people because they may not like you or for religious or spiritual reasons or those things. And not coming from a society which has been as multicultural as Trinidad and Tobago, it was a serious culture shock to see how some people think and express their feelings about other types of people in their own community. Like, it was surprising.
I agree. Seeing those comments coming from a small island with a mostly black population, I was shell shocked. I really was shocked to see those type of comments and to find out that Trinidad was so racist and classist and segregated like that. It really came as a shock to me.
But isn't it usually the hallmark of a multicultural society that these kinds of problems of racism and classism would exist? I mean, if you look at other multicultural societies, they tend to struggle with a lot of the same issues. If you look at the US and parts of Europe, they very often struggle with the same thing. I don't think that is necessarily an anomaly. I think that, and even just outside of Trinidad and within the Caribbean, we have a very difficult time accepting ourselves as one Caribbean people because we view ourselves so differently. So I think that's probably one of the hallmarks of a multicultural society, that before things really get harmonious, you're gonna have these kinds of racial tensions and stuff like that.
But for how long? Because this is going on for, like, let's say from the 1700s, 1800s.
Yeah.
So how 200 years later, 300 years later, this is still going on. When is this gonna done?
Yeah, that's a good question. But the Caribbean,
I think like one of the most surprising.
Yeah, Russian.
I think one of the most surprising things about it is the utter lack of intelligence that you think someone would have to make certain statements. Like, I don't even know how to explain it differently than that, because certain things they say is so easily disproven. It is so easily disproven. Like, the facts are right there, and you show them the facts, and they would still be like, "Nah, is what I say it is because I say it is," and you're are coming from there, and it's like, "Oh, what problem you have with me? What have I done to you for you to have a problem with me like that?" And it's just surprising. Like, honestly, coming to Trinidad in these about 5 or so years I've been down there, the people that I come across the people that I become friends with from all different racial backgrounds, and it's was never like I said, because like from I guess based on what you were saying, Rishi, like the anomaly would be being from a country where you use predominantly only one racial background, especially in the Caribbean where you use a country that relies on tourism so heavily. Like, yeah, we had white people around us, but like if I went to school with about 2 or 3 white guys, like properly white guys, then that's a lot for me. I cannot
Right.
recall going to school with anybody who was Asian descent, but I know that there were other students in other schools who were Asian and of those ethnicities. Like, you know, you have 1 or 2 people that there because their family is there for some strange reason or the other. But like, it never so much to say like you have to grow up around these people to grow up hating these people. So like, kind of for me, it's almost like
Right.
I more accepting of everybody I meet. It's like a new experience for me. Like experiencing new cultures and experiencing new people around me and those things like that. But you listen to some people and it literally makes you wonder like what went wrong somewhere? Like what did you do?
Right, yeah. Well, you kind of, I mean, in my opinion, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I mean, like, again, one of the challenges that you'll see with multicultural societies is these kinds of things. If I could just not stay away from the multicultural point, but more
Mhm.
towards the killing specific group. Another problem I think is that growing up in Trinidad, I would have seen even experience most and to me that is also another part of the problem because quite frankly a lot of the reasons why you see people making these like off the mark comments is because they don't
Mhm.
even see these hotspot areas as part of Trinidad anymore. Like to them they're like a cancer on the body of the country. And when you don't even see those citizens as your fellow countrymen, then you're gonna make those kinds of comments because you're not talking about a fellow Trinidadian, you're talking about somebody from Mobile
Yeah.
or somebody from Laventille or somebody from a hotspot area. I think that's one of the major problems that we need to earlier clock to. We allow that rhetoric of these places are hotspots, so stay away from them to just permeate and permeate until now those communities are crying out for help and for not so insignificant size of the population or portion of the population. They don't see it as people crying out for help, they just see it as people just making a ruckus for nothing.
Right. All right. So let me ask you guys a question. Like I'm gonna pose it this way. Describe your initial reaction when you saw the recording of the police tape when the police bumped the guys. I assume that everybody saw it by now.
Um, I've seen it,
Yeah.
but I haven't like sat down and fully watched it because after the George Floyd incident and all the other videos of police brutality, it's like what should I say? My stomach is full, and at this point,
Mhm.
if I do anything else, I'm just gonna vomit. And seeing that was basically my last meal.
Yeah.
I couldn't stomach it no more. So I didn't sit down and watch the whole video because I already know it's basically the same. Let's just say it's the same plot. So me not watching it until the
Like,
time was going on, it's still innocent people getting killed regardless what happened. Because as a police officer, you're not supposed to be killing anybody. So it was just sickening to see, that the police brutality is going on in the Caribbean. I know it exists, but just to see it is totally different than knowing that it exists.
yeah, Christoph, what about you, bro?
I mean, well, growing up here, seeing those things all the time, I wasn't surprised by it at all. Like, not one bit at all.
Wow.
I guess it was just like
Let me see.
just one of those things.
Weshi.
No, I kind of will echo the sentiments that everyone else shared. Like at a point, you become kind of I don't know if emotionally numb is the right way to phrase it, but I can't really think about the phrase. But that's basically it. I mean, you see it so much times, as Amo said, it really kind of sparked with the George Floyd instantaneous. You saw a man being executed on the street, and the people who were supposed to protect him, the people who are paid to protect him, aided and abetted in his execution. And the same thing happened down police. It's not the to be judge, jury, and executioner, and we witnessed the people being executed on the street. And at that point, you just kind of get numb to it, and it's a sad reality. But I think the country or the whole Caribbean on a whole kind of shell shock with these issues are concerned, and that's a real frightening thing.
Well, do you feel like it's getting enough media importance within the Caribbean itself?
Not really, no.
Chris, what do you think?
I think if it wasn't for the presence of social media and I would say like the younger generation, it most likely would have been swept under the rug. Most likely.
For sure.
I think also in regards to the timing of everything that's going on in America and everything that's going on, and well, since it happened here, because I mean, our commissioner of police was saying at all, why do protest for the little girl that died, you know? Why are you protesting for whatever? And I mean, I don't want to say it's like it was expected or whatever, but something was bound to happen eventually in that vein. And I think the timing of it is really essential, because it's not to say like it's the first time or the second time. It's been happening for years and years and years, and we've always just been like, it's whatever, we're accustomed to it, you know. But like finally people are kind of fed up of it, you know, and it's time that the TTPS needs to be held accountable.
Why I find funny, you know, they always say like history repeats itself. Is the time I've been in Trinidad, this is not the first time I see people in that part, in that area. I don't want to say people from that part or people in that part. People in that geographic area in Trinidad is not the first time I've seen them protest, and it's not any description of them or any a judgment of them. It is literally the places in which they live. The conditions in which they are forced to live a lot of the time is things that I'm trying to understand. How can one of the largest economies in the Caribbean, one of the leading countries in the Caribbean, one of the faces of the Caribbean, this is literally how your people live in a few hundred yards from the commercial center, from the city, basically. And with the level of, I don't even know how to describe it properly, but like, the strength of, not even the strength of the economy, because when everybody is facing hard economic times, but like with the level at which you all promote your culture or try to promote your culture from being in Trinidad, and how much national pride you all have. That's what I look. That's what I'm looking for. The level of national pride that you all have. I still think it's amazing that this is what's going on right next to Port of Spain.
It's not even just national pride.
But it goes back to what. It goes back to what Weshi was saying, that like a lot of Trinidadians don't see these places, you know, Port of Spain and environs, as parts of Trinidad. It's just like, you know, them just wasting them time, you know, wasting everybody time. That is how everybody sees it. I mean, most people, older heads, delusional people see it now, but because they don't. I don't want to say that they dotish, you know, but they don't take the time to understand that
some of them
they don't have equal
opportunities. Some of them
they don't have as equal opportunity. They don't have as equal opportunities or as privileged
Mhm.
dog, you know?
Yeah. What are you saying, Amo?
No, I was saying that, it's always weird to see how a country is portrayed in media. And then when you reach, it's nothing like that. Because I used to live in America before I came to Trinidad. And when I reach, I was just like, this is crazy. This is not what I saw on television. I'm disappointed. And going to Trinidad again, I'm just like, this is crazy. This is not what I saw on television. I'm disappointed. Like there's this common trend of bigger islands and bigger country trying to portray themselves in a way that they're not, you know. And I think it's kind of sickening because that portrayal even falls on the citizens. Obviously, it has been because they're so ignorant to the problems going on in their country. Because it's crazy to me. How can you just disregard not one community but multiple communities in your own country? Like these are people in your country. Even if they're not citizens, these are people. Full stop. These are people in your country. So why do you find it so hard to sympathize with them because they're born in a certain community? Like it's crazy. And at the same time, um,
Well,
I'm sorry. At the same time, I expected like better to Trinidad because you guys have a lot of resources, and well, I have to do my research on what I'm not an economist, but in history, you guys have oil and resources, and your economy was booming enough for you guys to say we're leaving the federation because we could stand on our own, and just to see like the lack
Yeah.
of development is like where did the money go? What did the money go towards? Because there's a lot of infrastructure. Um, there's a lot of infrastructure development that I just didn't understand.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask now is like you all did literature in high school, right?
Yeah, well, never really take it on, but
All
yeah.
you you all read Miguel Street.
Which street?
Like that is one of the books
Yeah,
that we
nah.
had to read by
I
VS.
remember a
Like,
little bit of that.
yeah, yeah, set in Trinidad.
No, I didn't like that. Remember the books
Like,
change like every.
no, you're making me feel old now. Wow. But that is one of the books that we had to read in high school for literature. And literally that side of Port of Spain, I talking about everywhere up from the promenade. So like Charlotte Street, Frederick Street, Henry Street, Duke Street, Queen Street, all of these streets going up this side there. All the way till you reach back, all up the way to Cipriani Boulevard and these places there. The vibe that you get from that area of Trinidad is so authentically Trinidadian. I don't understand why people trying to fight it down. Like, why do they fight down the areas around Port of Spain that much? Like this is the areas that were written about. If you ask me,
Mm-hmm.
like if you read Miguel Street, some of these stories and how they describe these settings and the not looking at it at exactly this is how the people behave, but the mindset of the people and how laid back the community is and everybody looking out for each other. That is the kind of vibe I get from the people on that side. And I don't understand why it's data hard to be slumming it now. For want of a better word. Like I don't want to be disrespectful to them or anything like that. Respect to my brothers up on that side, respect to everybody in person. But at the same time, I feel like a lot more could be done in terms of development of infrastructure for the people around that area.
Right.
Of course. I
Definitely.
mean, there's a lot that goes in and a lot that went into this situation. I mean, obviously, we know about after
Mm.
slavery and how these communities were formed, as well as, Port of Spain being the capital. A lot of people city center find a place to live close to the work, to jobs and that sort of thing. But I think a lot of it is to do with politics because the way that we do politics, the way that we operate, what's supposed to be a democracy in this country is completely wrong. Because, I mean, the first politicians weren't, I don't want to say academically inclined, but they didn't know politics, so they kind of just did things their own way, and it just continued, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's much of how the public system works these days. You go in, you learn to do the wrong thing, and you continue doing it because you're accustomed to it.
That's what you know.
So what we have in Trinidad is not true democracy. It's just, you're going with about because the most frequent time that the people are involved in decision making within the country is come election times, which is incorrect. You rarely have like town hall meetings and that sort of thing. And the way that it's supposed to work is that the people go to the politicians, or the politicians come to the people and find out what are the wants and the needs. But the way that it works in this country is that the politicians already have their own agendas, and they tell you what they're going to do because they think that that's the best way. Nothing is wrong with that, but you completely neglect the wants and the needs of the people. Furthermore, with the voting thing, in some of these areas, you're pretty sure, you make some promises, you make it look nice, you get them a little thing here and there, they're gonna vote for you, whatever. And from the time that you reach an office, you neglect them because you have your partners and your big fish and them that giving you money, and you had to meet certain requirements. So it's like, along with all of that, a lot of people in Trinidad don't know better when it comes to simple things like these and politics. And the people that do know better are not going to take the time to educate them, because why educate somebody when you could exploit them? So there's a lot of things that need to change in Trinidad. I mean, the way we work our politics, dog, the TTPS, there's the education system. There's a lot of everything that needs to fix in Trinidad and Tobago, dog. And it starts with accountability. As simple as
That's
that,
bare
though.
fact. That is a fact.
That's my
That
two
is a
cents.
fact. Like,
I think
nah, you only can't get back to him. But like, I remember when I just moved on to Trinidad, to like the talk was always Trinidad never vote somebody in, they always vote somebody out. And I find it kind of ironic if you follow the news today being the 3rd of July. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Crowley, announced that on the 10th of August this year they will be having elections again. And I I found it kind of interesting that despite everything that's been going on around the world and within Trinidad itself, this is the one of the priorities right now of because we know they've been preparing for it. We know they've been seeking the representatives from different constituencies. The PNM has vetted all 41 candidates, and the UNC to date only vetted 17 candidates, and it's really moving forward. But at the same time, like, yeah, we're in a pandemic now. Then you all had social, I'm not even sure if it's still going on, but there was social unrest within the country. The entire country, from what I saw being out of the entire country was rioting and protesting. Well, not rioting, I don't want to use the word rioting. They were not rioting, they were protesting the fact that there was abuse of power, abuse of force by the members of the TTPS against the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And people felt like they have seen enough and they've had enough, and they think that there needs to be a change. And I am still dumbfounded and amazed that every time that we bring up this conversation, the powers that be always twist it to the point that they say, oh, we want to have a lawless state, we don't want to have the police service in action as it is right now. But at the end of the day, it's not that we don't want to have a police service, but we need a change. Something has to change.
I think part and parcel of it, I believe, is that one we tease this stuff, but before that, up until secondary school, you would learn civics, services worked,
Mm-hmm.
and they stopped that in exchange for teaching, I think, social studies. They kind of combined it in with social studies, but you don't really do much civics. So for a very long times, and the different things that different public services do for you. And I think that that has gone a long way in making people not interested and unaware as to what happens politically in the country. Not interested in political
Mm-hmm.
philosophy and those kinds of things. And secondly, on the crime thing, I think it's also kind of important to know that politicians don't necessarily have a vested interest in solving crime as much as they do keeping the crime level low. And there's a subtle difference in that because to solve crime, it takes a set of social, like why it is somebody would want to go out
Mm-hmm.
and rob, does a person have access to jobs,
Exactly.
do they have access to resources and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You really actually to keep the crime level low, all you really need is increased policing. Like it's very easy to keep the crime level low if you put a police on every single corner. That's not the kind of society you want. But especially
Mm-hmm.
leading up to an election cycle, if you flood the place with
Mm-hmm.
police, that will help in keeping the crime level low. And as long as politicians can point to a low crime level, especially months before an election, we have to kind of get the population to understand that their interests and our interests aren't necessarily aligned the same way. So that I think would also
It's
aid
true.
in some of the problems
It's
that we
true.
see as well.
I think
I get
like,
what you're saying.
yeah. I always feel like Caribbean people, we never take like a holistic approach to serious situations. Because if you want to stop crime, you could just see the reasons why people are committing crime. Most people just commit crime because, say, like theft and so they need money. If you provide infrastructures or social programs for people to do other than commit crimes, then you could decrease crime rather than over policing the place. Because there's a lot of levels to a lot of situations. Like it's just never one simple solution. There could be many solutions for some things. Because there's many reasons why a person would do something. And I feel like we never like find the right way to fix the solution, or we just find the quickest or cheapest way. And I don't really think, weaponizing police and increasing police is the cheapest way, but it's the quickest and easiest way. Because I feel like it'd be quicker than setting up, say, a social program for the community, or
Very true.
fund, funding the schools better, or trying to provide more jobs for that community. It's just easier to throw in more police into that community rather than actually try building it up. And I just think that's just a dumb way of solving the problem because it's just going to become a cycle. Crime isn't going down;
All
it's
right. So I
just
want you guys'
moving.
opinion. All right. So I want you guys' opinion on this opinion that I've seen floating around on social media. Everybody was hype and happy for the gunman tunes when it was in effect, but now the same people who singing about these things who live in this life, this kind of lifestyle, now they need help. Nobody want to talk about it.
To me, that's
I
kind
have
of
one.
akin to the argument in the US. To me, that's kind of akin to the argument in the US about rap music. How people would say that rap music is a lot
Mm-hmm.
about violence and stuff like that, but you don't really want to go into help the communities where rap is really prevalent. And I think we see the same thing here where people would get. I think as a not even as a society, as human beings like violence. Like there's no one community that likes violence. There's every single community glamorizes violence in some way, whether it's
I know.
Western movies, mafia movies, action movies, human beings. And so to say that these people are glorifying violence and therefore they are not deserving of help is very hypocritical, because every single community glorifies violence to some degree. And I think that the opinion is right in the sense that a lot of people are very willing to be entertained and in some cases profit from the stories that are being told in these songs, but they aren't willing to actually help the people who are telling these stories or the community. That is kind of hypocritical. So I understand that idea and I would agree with it, especially in Trinidad.
Chris, what you saying?
I think it has a lot to do with ignorance is bliss, because I mean the reason I listen to gunman music is not because I feel I bad and think, cause I not at all. But and it don't even the music don't even make me feel bad, Like the weirdest thing is I tell people that I listen to it because it does make me feel happy, dog. Like something about it, you know what I'm saying? It just have a vibe. Like I would be singing it in my house to my mother, all over the place, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think a lot of the younger people glorify what is going on. The same way we glorify violence is like, way these men are singing these acknowledge that the reality these guys in it, because I think there's a big disconnect though, because I mean when you go into school, you're going to your prestige school, you're driving your mother car, you listen to a man tune, your line with their friends. Is how are you supposed to care about somebody from
True.
there, you know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah, is when something affects you, is you care about it.
Nah.
So that's what I was going on and on about, how we need to make more noise, because that's the only way that people gonna feel when you inconvenience them, But people's talking about
Exactly.
peaceful
That is the
protests
part that blows my mind.
whatever.
Like this part blows my
It's
mind,
like,
right?
well, if we peacefully protest, you all are gonna get. Yeah,
The
gotcha.
morning that happened, like before everything pop off, I actually saw the beginning of the video with the guys. And for some reason, I just told myself, like, I couldn't watch this. I didn't want to watch this. I didn't even know that it was a video of them shooting three people in a vehicle, basically. And that same morning, I wrote up a post on Twitter and I said, come to think of it, I have never seen any popular uprising that was deemed as legal at the point in time. And so said, so done. Look at what happened in Trinidad and how much the ministers who were in charge of that and the other members of political administration who were in charge of managing the situation, how much they vilified the people who were actually protesting against the way that they were being treated. And the same thing that the people were protesting is the same thing that they were doing to the people after they were protesting. And I was like, can they sit back for a minute and just watch the bigger picture and see that this is exactly what people are talking about? Look at this. This woman, Ornella Greaves. Let's call her name, Ornella Greaves. She was there for whatever reason. She was within all her rights to be there, whether she was pregnant, whether she wasn't, whatever it was. She was a black woman in society who was experiencing an injustice. That decided that she had to go speak about it, and she ended up being killed because of excessive force and abuse of power. And people will still go back and say she was wrong for being there and it's her fault. And I don't understand that.
It just makes you see how people are wicked. Because how can you see a pregnant woman get killed by the police and say you have been there and all? That's not the point. How could you be citing the police killing a pregnant woman? Why aren't you mad that the police killed a woman? Pregnant or what? Woman or man? Why are you siding with the police for killing people? That's just disgusting. It's just ignorant and disgusting, and you see the lengths people will go to just to defend a system that is benefiting them. Because I saw the comments and I saw the racial group that was making these comments, and I know that they wouldn't go outside protesting for nobody else's right. And I don't think there would be targets of police brutality in Canada because it seems like it's only disproportionately affecting people and people in Leventon and the other, I only know Leventon and the other communities.
Right.
But you see, another thing, I've always tried my best to avoid being prejudiced or stereotypical against people of different racial backgrounds, especially when I came to university, because I understood that I would be in an environment where I had different people around me and you just had to be accustomed with being around different people and being able to operate and survive. And I guess it's because of my upbringing, like we were taught that everything that we have, we had to fight for ourselves. Everything that we need, everything that we want, as long as we cannot do it for ourselves, then forget about it, do without it as long as you can. And everything that you need to do, you have to be twice as good to get half as much. Like, I know that is something that they say on TV and those things, but it's something that I was actually taught. Like, you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, because when you go out there, nobody's is going to want to give you a handout. Like, it wasn't even in any racial context my parents would say those things. It's just growing up, this was just the things that I was taught. Like, nobody's going to want to give you a handout. Nobody's going to want to help you. You're going to have to fight for yourself. And funny enough, one of the main lessons I was taught is that the people who look most like you is the people that you have to be afraid of sometimes. Like, and I never understood growing up how internalized these things could become and how much it impacted how I interacted with a lot of people growing up. And being in university, experiencing new cultures, meeting new people, living in a multicultural society like Trinidad and Tobago, I was forced to put down a lot of the things that I was taught growing up because it didn't make sense. I couldn't operate in the area that I lived and be comfortable doing some of the things or thinking some of the ways that I was taught to think growing up, because it just was not compatible. And I don't understand why there are still people in 2020 who cannot understand by now that certain things that people were teaching you growing up not making sense, and you have to learn for yourself to do something different. Like, I don't understand people when they cannot do that.
Because
You
they're
ever
voting.
mhm. Yeah, Mo.
That's the
I
only
mean, in a way,
explanation.
yeah, they do.
Why are you refusing to grow? Why are you refusing to grow up? Like, knowledge and information changes every day. Like, we learn new
Well,
things every day. Why don't you want to change?
I'll play devil's advocate to that.
Oh,
You
no.
guys always hear me saying that ignorance is bliss, and you think that is over the top, but that's literally what it is. Like, why would I accept new information that inconveniences me? A lot of these people grew up a certain way, and that is what they know, and they're never gonna change. They're never gonna change, and sometimes they pass that down to their children and their grandchildren.
True. Yeah. The thing is, the thing with that is that I understand. I halfway agree with you stuff, because I would understand that if it was only people who had no idea what was happening were making those kinds of arguments. But the thing is that there
And
have been a lot of people, even from these communities, who were kind of condemning their own communities and saying, why are you protesting against the police? And these are people within
it's
the
really
community. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Stoff like is he experiencing some technical difficulties, so like it's freezing for him right now. He lagging.
Uh-huh.
But one of the things, dog,
But
is
now, cause I saw,
I think
yeah, the question.
yeah, Stoff, you there?
We lost him.
I think we did. He's gone into cyberspace, guys.
Is
I like that devil's advocate. Just you
Yeah,
know,
man.
so
Hopefully he comes back in a minute. All the things I was saying is I always try to avoid making it racial, making it sound racially charged because that's just not how I was raised. But at the end of the day, there's really a lot of people from one ethnic background making these kinds of statements. And reactionary people from other ethnic backgrounds start to make these statements and then they use it as justification to perpetuate the cycle. But at the end of the day, a lot of the time we see it starting in one area and we always wonder, but what did we do to you? Why you want to start saying those things about us? Like what you have against us?
it started way back when during indentation.
I fuck it up.
Making these.
Mm-hmm.
It started a
Correct is
long
right.
time ago. That's fun.
Yeah.
I
Remember,
remember
Let's see if we
they
can get back, Chris. Nah, things like he's still down.
he'll come back eventually.
I think that is one of the more controversial topics to talk about right now.
Hmm.
Like that, the dynamic. But I think is as Amo said, it goes all the way back to indentureship, and I think it is it's kind of important to note as well that when the British brought in indentured labor, the indentured laborers formed, I guess, what could be considered the middle class of the Caribbean.
Hmm.
And when that happened, being the middle class, when you're brought in as a middle class and you have lower class Afro Caribbean people, there's naturally going to be resentment between the two. And of course, the colonizers were happy for this resentment because that resentment is what kept them in power. And unfortunately, I do think as a Caribbean people, we have really addressed that particular resentment. And that is why you see a lot of these kinds of comments being made. And I think that another aspect of police
What else?
brutality that, mm-hmm, yeah, question.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that we could ever fully address police brutality until we address that racial divide that exists in the Caribbean, particularly in Trinidad.
Yes.
But
Well, look,
it
what
makes
I
sense
wanted
there
to
as
say
well.
is on Netflix there's this show called Patriot Act by Hassan Minaj, and he is the one of the comedians has been on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and he said it best. He did a show about George Floyd, and he said it best that when Indian and brown people came to this side of the world, when they jump back up onto like when they came no sorry not jump back when they came to this side of the world, they when they became citizens of the countries in which they decided to settle, they became part of the history of that country. But the history of that country did not start at that point in time. There was a history before that country, and he was speaking in relation to the U.S. and he said that when they became U.S. citizens, all the good things of the U.S., yes, they became part of that, but all the hate and the division and the racism and everything else that came before, they also bought into that because that is what you become, that is what you have to embrace as a citizen of a country, and it's then upon you as now a citizen of that country to do better and change how that country is seen or portrayed, and people just refuse to do that. They refuse to understand it like that.
Right.
Because
Hey, look, we
that
get back, Christoph.
oh, you reach, you come back.
Stuff.
Wait, this is you hearing Amoret? So I was just hearing Amoret's voice.
Yeah, I just heard Amo.
Her phone always doing some voodoo on this live. But anyhow, let's continue the conversation, guys. So, like, moving forward from what? moving moving forward from seeing everything that happened on drill during the course of the week from Saturday up until now, and knowing how mercurial, for want of a better word, how mercurial the news cycle is in Trinidad and Tobago. How long you think they'll be talking about police brutality and actually changing things in Trinidad?
A bunch of bitches.
That's honestly a real good question. If the media does talk about it, they're probably just gonna show clips and then take statements from Guy Griffith, but they're not gonna actually talk about police brutality in its historical context and stuff. I think our media does a very bad job at journalism. We really just have a this is what happened for the day kind of media, not a we will take things in its historical context and explain to you all what is happening kind of media.
Look, I'm ready to jump back on.
Unfortunately for that, the only place you have to go for is the only place you get to go for these kinds of things is elections happening a little over a month. This is going to be a hot topic issue, but it's only going to be talked about in relation to the crime level and not the socioeconomic reasons why crime happens in the first place. So while this is a perfect moment for us to really have a comprehensive discussion about what police chasing people, and Guy Griffith louding up somebody on Facebook, and it's just gonna be on a loop until elections comes, and that's how I think it would play out. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Amo.
Hello.
Yeah, so we were asking,
Yeah, Amo.
seeing how everything went for the week and how reactionary or how mercurial the news cycles are in Trinidad and Tobago. How long do you think they'll be talking about this moving forward?
Well, I would assume that they will continue talking about this as long as the protests keep going on. But that's not how things work. And I feel like even if they do talk about it, they just frame it in a way to make the protesters look bad. Because the media always has a way of making the victims look like the worst. Like it's very victim blaming. Dehumanizing is the word I was looking for. They're gonna look forward to dehumanize the protesters and make it seem like the issues they are protesting for is just made up or it's their fault that their community is like that, rather than it's the government's fault that the community is like that. Because that's what media does. It's just gonna throw everything 180 to make the police look good, because it has that responsibility as a media in a small country. The Trinidad ain't all that small, but in a small country, if you're a media house and you're opposing the government, that's not going to end well for you. So it makes more sense just to support the government's rhetoric.
That's true.
We kind of sound like a communist country at this point, but that is just reality of it.
But do you think
Well,
that they actually following the line of the government? Because seeing just recently the government of Trinidad and Tobago was in some back and forth with the media houses saying that they go after the big corporations, like they follow whatever storyline that the bigger corporations wants to push, and that's not right.
Well, the thing is, but the upper class, the creme de la creme, they always have their hand in the government pots. So whoever is in charge, you can't really rely on the government to make any changes because before they make a change to benefit the country, they have to make sure that change is not salting the 1%.
could I
True.
question?
Yeah.
Could I ask you all could I ask something? I saw that
Of course, dog.
one of the things that came out from the George Floyd incident was people pushing the defund the police rhetoric, and some places, some city police stations or the city councils voted in favor of that. You think that movement could get traction in the Caribbean, or would it even be useful?
I feel like for us to reach that far, we would have to burn some shit down. Like in all seriousness, we're gonna have to have a serious riot to overthrow the government. Like when I say riot, as in I mean like slave riots. Because voting,
Yeah.
I'm not really for voting. Voting isn't working. Protesting isn't working. What's the word? Doing the right thing isn't working. Nothing is good of coming out to doing the right thing. So it's time to burn shit down. And I feel like we're not gonna get proper change until we act in violence. Because people like to say, we are the citizens are the people in power, not the government. We run the government, but is the government really running us? I don't care how many people say that, like the citizens in charge. Unless we start burning down and physically holding our politicians accountable for their actions, then it's the government running us. So for us to get any traction for change, we have to get really, 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 really hard.
Yeah, and I think that ties back into the point that we were making earlier, that a lot of people crying down the protesters and saying that why they cannot protest peacefully. But literally, unless even if they were doing it peacefully, and that peaceful protest in some way it stopped you from doing what you wanted to do with your daily life, you would still be just as mad. Like you would complain just as much because you are inconvenienced. And that is the point of a protest. The protest is to cause a break in the daily runnings of the society, to show that you are dissatisfied with something, or to try and enact a change for something. And if you do not inconvenience the general public, then in my opinion a protest is rather much inefficient or ineffective. You need to be able to grab the attention of the public, and the fastest way to do that is to cause a disruption. And this is what the people are doing. Like they're trying to bring attention to the problems that they face, and people don't want to appreciate that.
Exactly.
Like why you need them to be peaceful for? Like I said, even if they start peacefully in the road, let's imagine they pick one of the busiest streets, like, or even the highway going into town, and all of them just come and they sat down in the middle of the road. That's a peaceful protest. They're not
Yeah.
fighting or burning anything. They're sitting down there peacefully, but they blocking traffic for a couple of hours there. People gonna be just as annoyed. Like the
Yeah.
argument holds no weight in that sense, because you missing the point of a protest.
Yeah, people don't understand protests are there to bring awareness. So the point of a protest is to cause ruckus. Well, yes, peaceful protest. I'm just a violent person. But the point of a protest is to grab people's attention so you could realize that there is something wrong here. And if you feel inconvenienced by this or you're against this, then you are part of the problem. But if you feel inconvenienced by this, yeah, but you have to understand why people are doing this. Because if I stuck in traffic for 4 hours because of
I think they
protest, I gotta be
fully
there. I got No, go ahead. I done.
I was saying a lot of them fully know that a protest is cared about, they will be in full support of it. So I think they fundamentally just don't agree with the message. They just in this climate they really can't come out and say, well, I don't agree with the message, so they have to mask it and say, why are you protesting so violently?
But the protests aren't even violent.
Stuff. Look like we're experiencing some technical difficulties with Christopher again. I mean, like, I don't know how to tell it to him.
Yes.
He looks like he just keep on going.
Stuff is a man struggling a little bit.
Yeah, boy. Tonight's not your night, bro. Say something, bro. Speak up.
Blake, if you could hear
He
us.
say he hearing us.
Alright, he had a good look for that one. How it feel, bro? How it feel? See, this is why you get for being devil's advocate, you know.
True.
This is why you get for being devil's advocate.
That's what you're not going across the screen right now is real funny. Going on.
Guys, screenshot this when you drop this video. Screenshot this and make a meme out of it.
For sure. For sure.
Somebody tell Lago can come back.
Yeah, log out.
Wait,
Refresh the screen, boy.
Wait, don't refresh it yet. I'm not done clowning you. As a man trying to put some emojis and thing.
Come on, guys. Take life seriously.
Yeah.
Take the podcast.
Wait, game back. Game. Oh, the emojis come up now. Yeah, there we go. So let me see. Right. Yeah, how that one look? It's not Sunday, but it's a sad boy kind of vibe. Wait, I thought he was gone, you know? He's still there?
Wait, he's still there. Is he
Yeah,
saying something?
he typed it in.
Oh.
He typed in, he say he hearing us, and he hit it here.
On God.
It be like that sometimes, bro. It be like that sometimes. But yeah, getting back to the serious conversation, but yeah, I think this is something that we're going to have to address more holistically. This is not just something we could just say, let us just send some coordinators to our community and sit down and talk. Because I was reading to somebody was saying that every time they say they're doing some outreach to some community out there, is always a sports day, a family fun day or something like that, a football match or something like that. And those do very little to actually benefit the community and uplift the community and bring it forward. And I think it's about time that we really sit down and have a proper discussion about actually doing something different, something meaningful, something palpable for these communities, and actually show where the evidence is that what we are doing is actually working to help the people, the actual people living in the community, do better, be better, and achieve more than what they currently able to. And we need to stop discriminating against them, please. Like, you meet them in a carnival band, some of them you take a wine on them and you never know because of where they live or anything like that, because they're not showing that on their back. So why we had to use where they live now, because we've seen it now, to discriminate against them? Like, that's something I don't understand. Stuff your back, bro.
Morning.
Ah,
Morning.
I'm dead. Hello to all my fans. Peace and love.
Your OnlyFans.
Or use that kind of man. All your fans.
His OnlyFans.
Yeah, bro, I have a lot of fans, you know. Yeah. It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? So is he what we saying? We're rich.
We were just talking about not discriminating against the people and actually doing something meaningful to to uplift the community, rather than just say we're doing something and there's nothing that they could use. Man, you can
Yo, stop giving the people hope, dog. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Come on. No, but like just today, you know, I was explaining things to my friends, you know, which I'm really tired of having to explain things to big people. But I realize, you know, part of the reason that I view things the way I view them is because of the field that I'm in. So the only way that you could really change the culture is through education, though. I mean, really and truly, all the old people, I mean, really sorry to say, but you just had to wait until they're dead. And, you know, focus on the younger generation. Yeah. So, like, when the kids... so, you know, when the kids, like, come in the school and thing...
just.
No, I'm not lying though, because like, okay, like a lot of these people, dog. No, like let's be real, dog. A lot of people are gonna die on these hills, you know, these racist hills. They are not willing to move whatsoever, dog. Yeah, that's how they affect change in the younger generation, you know, and make sure they don't turn on racist or classes or whatever, you know.
Question taking off the screen now. Like I'm watching it, I'm trying to stay.
I mean, dog, it sounds funny, dog, but really and truly, it's that's a waiting game.
But the thing is, them old people, they're teaching the same racist thing to their kids.
Honestly, sometimes I feel the same way. So like, and now, but I feel as though if we take that approach, we ignore the fact that there are a lot of young people that have antiquated views on these kinds of things. So because, quite frankly, a lot of these people, a lot of the comments that you see being made, those people our age and sometimes younger. I think it's as simple as letting the older generation have their time and then move on. Because one, there are older people to whom these things can be explained to in a way that they could understand it. And B, we have to remember that age is not the or is not the cause of ignorance because it in the same dumb comments as well.
Yeah, so it was freezing up real plenty there, bro. Yeah, you were freezing up real plenty there for a minute. It would like what? He gone?
What?
Oh my god, I think we lost Christoph again.
Jesus Christ.
Why is this stuff?
I can't understand the words coming out your mouth. It's Regina Hall. I'm Regina King. You know when she throw halves of her hand.
Hard luck there, bro. Hard luck there, bro. I don't know what's going on your ends. But yeah, like hoping one day things will be different. Like we can see his shadow, right?
What is he trying to do? Wait, where's Weshi?
Weshi. I'm not sure what happened to his link. I think it dropped for a minute.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's been about an hour and 20 minutes, guys, or in 15 minutes.
Really?
So we've been talking for a while. I actually feel like we started flowing. Yeah, I actually feel like we started flowing a lot more in the end than in the beginning. But this is just the beginning. We're gonna continue doing this, so we'll get better and more comfortable with it as time goes by. So people listening right now, stay tuned. We will be talking about a lot more things. And like Amaret was saying, how
Oh, he's
we
my
had a touch
government
on
name, Bart.
colorism and classism and everything. Sorry, Lapo Kapit. Sorry, my bad.
Yes,
That's actually how
Lapo
your name same on my phone, huh? Yeah, that's how your name. Let me even put it up so everybody could see. So, guys, the orange square from now on DeliRant shall be going by the name of Lapo Caprit.
Yes.
Drum roll, please. Brrr, Lapo Caprit. That is you. Anyhow, but but yeah. So what I was saying is, a lot of these things are discussions that we're going to have. These are things that we want to talk about, and it's not just to say that we're just doing a random podcast just to talk about it. We want to help people drop their delusions and learn about things differently than they know it right now. Like a lot of things we've been taught wrong, we need to wake up and realize that it's wrong, and a lot of things that we supposed to be taught we don't know. So this is the first episode. Hope to see you guys on the next one. Hopefully it'll be next week, and hopefully Stoff will
I
stop
hope we can
having
all make
technical difficulties. Yeah.
peace. I'm Millie Rock on every block. Oh, he's voguing now.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Yeah,
fun,
that last
right?
one win. That last one win. Yeah. It definitely was. Definitely was. I waited to see if Weshi deciding he coming back, but like I'm not sure. Stuff he can't say nothing because technical difficulties whole
That's
night.
what saying devil's advocate. You got shoot.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, should we put up our Twitter tag? Do you guys want to post your Twitter tags so the people can follow you?
No.
Stuffy's like, yeah.
You can't even talk.
Man say IG
You see, he's just trying to develop his
is why is it I think I know it, you know. You gotta believe me sometimes. Like, why is it again?
I think it's I believe something like that.
The man say don't sell loud, that's a safe space. So Stuffy IG for you. Type up the IG. That's the IG. That's the IG, right? So you can follow him on IG, guys, at Christopher Sun. Let me make sure I spell that properly. That's it, right, bro? Oh, it's at Christopher Sun dot underscore. Why you so complicated, bro? Like, make up your mind. Which one you want? You want to end it or you want to underscore? Like, you want to underline it? Which one? So at Christopher Sun dot underscore. That's the IG. I think he agreed to drop the Twitter. So I'm gonna put it here. If you gotta get vexed with him, it's not my fault. That's the Twitter right there. How does it feel to be a celebrity, bro? Not twice if you're enjoying yourself.
So.
Yeah, and Amo, you put up your Twitter?
No. I mean, they could type in Lapo Capital and it would come.
IG?
No, I don't use IG anymore, so just Twitter.
So if they type in Lapo Capital, they will find you on Twitter.
Yeah.
You going back and change your name back to Lapo Capital?
Yes.
Schools to each their own. One day I will tell them why you have the name Lapoka, but trust me, guys, it's a very, very funny story. Why she got the name Lapoka. It's very, very funny. And you are me, Caution, aka Chizedek, aka Z Anthony. So if you're looking for me, you can find me on Twitter at Z_Anthony. And that's basically it. Don't really use any other social media like that right now. So follow, interact, say some shit. I mostly talk shit all the time. I only talk shit all the time. But I say some intelligent shit sometimes. So yeah. Lapoka can vouch for that.
Huh?
Why you always sound like you taken by surprise?
Because I am.